Hello everybody, welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast. Today, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be talking about some of the most controversial and hot talking points in Sky Bet League One. We're going to be talking about relegation. We're going to be talking about some of the biggest overachievers in League One this season and the ongoing fascinating title race we currently find ourselves in this division. You want to see more of this sort of content? Have you got any more interesting talking points you want me to discuss and sit down and break down? Let me know in the comments down below. We've just hit 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. We've been on the journey for such a long time. As I finally hit that number, I know it's just a number, and in perspective, quite a small one, but still, to hit that figure, it means so much. So thank you. If you've been one of those subscribers, if you are one of the subscribers, thank you so much. If you aren't yet subscribed, please do hit that subscribe button. We don't stop here. We continue to move, but to hit that figure, unbelievable achievement for me. I'm so proud and so thankful. So thank you very much for that. Leave a like as well if you think it warrants a like. Now, I must also stress as well, a lot of these controversial talking points have come from the Instagram account League One Latest. They're a brilliant Instagram account in the name, really giving you some really good, I'd say some top end League One content over on Instagram. So you want to sort of check that out. You want to check out, they do great stories, great posts. Go over to Instagram, give them a follow. Really good content. I have tweaked them slightly. I haven't used all of them, and I have tweaked and edited a few of them, but generally a lot of the base ideas have come from them. So thank you so much to that Instagram account League One Latest. I'll leave a link in the description down below. You go over there on Instagram, give them a follow. Thank you very much for giving me some inspiration. So the way this is going to work is I've picked 3 talking points. I'm going to break them down and give my opinions on them as well. So we'll start off at the bottom end of the League One table, talking about relegation. I must stress as well, this research was done before last weekend. So this is about 1 match week out of date. I've looked at some of the stats as well to make sure they're not out of date. It did take a while to put this together. There's not too much difference at all. I do apologise, a few of the stats have slightly changed. If that is the case, I can only apologise. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty much the same. There hasn't been too dramatic changes, really. And the points I'm really putting across are exactly the same as they would have been, even if I have missed a match week worth of statistics. I do apologise for that. But anyway, let's get straight into it. The first controversial talking point is Crewe and Doncaster are both nailed on for relegation. Now, look at the league table first and foremost. The best place to start. Like I said, we're looking at the bottom end of the table. 24th, Crewe. 23rd, Doncaster. Crewe are 8 points away from safety. Doncaster are 4 points away from safety. So both teams in that relegation zone with quite a few points to climb. Now, not as many Doncaster than Crewe. It's got to be said, 8 and 4. It's not an impossible job. I wouldn't say it's nailed on for relegation, but it's not looking great. We'll delve further, sort of deep into that as well. We'll look at the remaining games. We'll look at what's going wrong at these different clubs on the pitch. But, 4 points, it doesn't sound like much. You've got to also remember as well, I'm looking at the teams around them. That's also really important as well. Morecambe, it's not looking great for Morecambe. It's got to be said, they are losing games at the moment. 3 consecutive defeats. As for Wimbledon, it's not looking great for them either. 4 consecutive defeats as well. And Gillingham, who have been the bottom 4 for a lot of this season, climb out of the bottom 4 as well after their result they got on Saturday. So, again, looking at their games is one thing. You've got to look at the teams around them. I wouldn't say they're nailed on for relegation, but with teams like Gillingham picking up points, of course, Fleetwood got a point as well at the weekend. Another team that in and around that area they're going to be sort of competing with for a relegation dogfight. Doncaster and Crewe with the form they're on, both teams without a win in their last 4 at least, and that's looking at Doncaster. As for Crewe, 5 consecutive defeats for them. It's not looking great. It's not looking great. Now, we'll delve a little bit deeper into Crewe more specifically first. Crewe have got the second most conceded goals. They concede goals. They concede way too many goals. That's not a good place to start. We're talking about a team trying to stay up and trying to stay in this league, trying to defensively solidify themselves. That's not happening this season. Second most conceded goals. They've got the joint highest, interestingly, with Doncaster, XG for goals conceded. They're expected to concede the most amount of goals. Interesting, like I said, Doncaster are also on the top of that table as well. 44.8 goals they're meant to be conceding. In terms of their remaining games, they've got Bolton at home. Of course, they've already played that one, and they lost that 1-0 last weekend. But now going forward, they've got MK Dons away. That's a tough game. Fleetwood at home. That's a really big game. They've got Doncaster away, a huge game away from home. They're going to be decisive. And AFC Wimbledon at home. I mean, they've also got Sheffield Wednesday, Ipswich and Lincoln after that. Lincoln's also going to be a massive one. We talk about Lincoln. We'll talk about Wimbledon at home. We'll talk about Doncaster away. Fleetwood at home, these are huge games. If they can get points and big results against those sides, this is going to be a decisive moment for Crewe as they head into this point now. Like I said, there's sort of the controversial opinion, and the talking point is they're nailed on for relegation. Well, with those games coming up, we talk about Fleetwood, these Doncaster, I've highlighted Doncaster in red on my sort of table here. I can see there's some absolutely gigantic games, some huge games, decisive games for Crewe. And if they get results against them, who knows? Now, again, they are 8 points away, but they can take points off the teams around them. That's the most important thing. At least they've got teams they've got to also take points away from, if that makes sense. They've got to play teams and they can also take points away from the teams, sort of relegation rivals, if you like, around them. That's going to be important. That's going to be crucial in their ongoing dogfight. As for Doncaster, they've got the highest XG for set play goals conceded. They're expected to concede the most amount of set plays, essentially. That's 22.4. They've actually got the most set play goals conceded as well. Of course, that's corners, free kicks, etc. They do concede a lot from them. Very, very vulnerable from set plays. They've got the second least goals scored. They don't score goals. That's a worry. So you put that all together, and Crewe as well. Both teams, there's some seriously worrying statistics in there, and there's big indications as to why they are where they are, essentially. As for Doncaster, we look at that remaining games as well. Fleetwood away, they've got Charlton at home, Wycombe away, Crewe at home, of course, Bolton at home, Shrewsbury away, Burton at home, and Oxford away. I'd say their games are slightly harder than Crewe. They got Fleetwood away, it's going to be massive. Crewe at home, and Shrewsbury away, you could argue. But other than that, they got some really, really tough games. And I'm not saying those aren't tough either. They're going to be extremely hard and very, very significant. But we compare them to Crewe. You know, Crewe have got some other teams around them they're playing against each other. So I would slightly edge Crewe in terms of their sort of a fixture list and their running for the rest of the season. But it's no doubt both teams are not in a good place at all. I've highlighted the stats we've got. So do I agree with the opinion of Crewe and Doncaster are nailed on for relegation? To an extent. I wouldn't say they're nailed on. It's not a guarantee. Nothing's guaranteed in League One, but I think they will go down. I'm sorry, Crewe fans. I'm sorry, Doncaster fans, but looking at that there, maybe Crewe have got a chance. The games remaining, but nothing to me indicates they're going to get anything from those games based on recent form. And that's all you can look at. You can look at recent form, what they've done so far this season. I can't see it. I look at those second most conceded goals, joint highest goals, expected goals for against, fourth least goals scored. Absolutely, dire, basically, statistics there. It's going to be so tough. And they could do, like I say, you can't really predict anything in League One, but I wouldn't say they're nailed on. I think they will go down. I can't see a way, really, that those teams can't get relegated, especially with the likes of Gillingham now getting themselves out of it. Fleetwood now also getting a point as well. The only thing they're hoping is AFC Wimbledon continue sort of, I guess, falling downwards in the league. And also, you're looking at Morecambe on a really bad run of form as well. That's the only hope they've got, and the remaining games. It's going to be tough. I've got to be honest. I think they will go down. But interestingly, looking at the stats and looking at those remaining games, the different side of this relegation battle is fascinating. I'm sure it's not as fascinating for those teams in that area, but from an outside perspective, it's a fascinating relegation battle to delve deep into. Good luck to all those sides, by the way, getting relegated. We never want to see a side get relegated. But unfortunately, in League One and in the Football League and leagues across the world, somebody's get relegated. Unfortunately, League One is 4 teams that will be playing League 2 football next season. So, the next one we've got then, we're going to be talking about the overachievers in Sky Bet League One. We're going to talk about Plymouth and Mk Dons. And the quote is, if you like the quote, we're going full Shakespearean here, Plymouth have exceeded more expectations than Mk Dons have. So, essentially, who has overachieved most? Is it Plymouth Argyle or is it Mk Dons? I must stress as well, it's not a competition and it doesn't really matter. But it really, really does allow us to delve deep into both of these sides. Brilliant season so far, and really look at how incredible they've been, because both of them have done so well this season. So I want to start at Plymouth first, really. They started the season brilliantly well. They flirted between the top 2 places, and then Ryan Lowe left to go to Preston North End. He had an opportunity to go and manage a team in the Championship. He went and took that opportunity, and it left them with Stephen Schumacher, someone who could have gone with Ryan Lowe to Preston, who of course is assistant there, but he decided not to. He decided to take the manager job at Plymouth instead, and there was a little bit of a drop, as you can imagine, quite understandable when a new manager goes, and quite an influential manager in in Ryan Lowe leaves the football club. And then when Steven Schumacher comes in as well, you've got assistant manager now taking on the first team manager job. There will always be a slight adjustment period, but now that seems to be absolutely far away into the distance, because ultimately they've been brilliant since pretty much probably about 2-3 months ago, really. They've been absolutely phenomenal. I mean, we talk about a recent result against Bolton. They had a brilliant result again on Saturday. And they're now, as of recording, 4th in the league. And we talk about similar to that relegation battle. It's about not just getting points yourself, but also taking points away from teams around you in the rivalry in an area where you want to get to, really. I'm talking about Bolton trying to get into the playoffs. I'm talking about Ipswich trying to get into the playoffs. I'm talking about Sunderland trying to get into the playoffs. I'm talking about all of these different teams. You can also take points away from them as well as get points onto your tally as well. It's going to propel you up the league quicker than you can imagine, especially with a season as tight as it is this year. That's even more influential on that, and it's going to be even more important on that. And Plymouth have done that so well. I mentioned the 5 consecutive winning run they're on now. Absolutely brilliant stuff. They've got a huge game in 2 weeks' time against Oxford United. I'm going to go to that game, of course, being an Oxford United fan. I'm not going to be a Plymouth fan that day, but I'm going to hopefully watch their game against Cheltenham on iFollow tomorrow. I look forward to looking at Plymouth. I'll have a little look at them because, again, I've only watched them twice this season, I think. Once at Oxford United. I watched another game that they played again as well, but I want to watch them again against Cheltenham. A purely neutral game as well, other than I prefer Cheltenham to win for the playoff push, but I won't go into that. But ultimately, I think it's really, really amazing what Plymouth have done. Even with losing Ryan Lowe and Steven Schumacher taking that first-team job, they've been brilliant. And the form they currently find themselves on now is absolutely phenomenal. Going forward, they definitely are performing higher than average. We've got 6th highest shots in the league, 6th most goals in the league, 8th highest XG in the league. Some absolutely amazing stats. Now, some of the defensive stats as well are absolutely fascinating. They have the 5th highest amount of XG goals against. They're expected to concede 36.9 goals, but actually only conceding 27 goals. They have the highest amount of XGs against. The 5th highest XG goals against, but they're conceding much less. They're the best defence. That's a difficult one to say. 6th best defence in the league. Absolutely outstanding stuff. Now, highlighting some of the key players as well. You know, we look at Conor Grant for one. I think he's been absolutely brilliant. Average rating this season on SofaScore, 7.23. 11 goal contributions from left wing back this season. 8 big chances created. He's been instrumental in their season. Conor Grant, a brilliant player in a brilliant Plymouth Argyle side and season. Now, I want to look at Mk Dons, of course, as well. We'll look at a key player in a minute. We'll come on to Scott Twine, but I want to sort of look at Mk Dons as a side first. The 3rd in the league as of recording, and they've been 3rd in the league for quite a while now. Still knocking on the door of the likes of Wigan, the likes of Rotherham. I do think they're going to get in the playoffs. I don't think there'll be a doubt about that. I heard someone come in the DMs quite recently saying that apparently quite, and I said recently that the Mk Dons won't get in the top 6. I don't know when I said that. They definitely will finish in the top 6. They've been brilliant this season. I wanted to delve deep into Mk Dons, but the manager Liam Manning talking about what they've been doing on the pitch, because again, that's been absolutely incredible as well. Like I said, 3rd in the league as of recording. They're joint on points with Wigan, who are 2nd as of recording. That has slightly changed now, I believe. And they've played 3 games more. I think that's now 2 games more. But under Liam Manning, Mk Dons have been a very unique side, and they play a very unique style of play, but a fascinating style of play, and one that provides great entertainment, provides great football, and ultimately, as we've seen this season, wins football matches. Looking deeper into Manning and what he sort of implemented onto this Mk Dons side, I did a bit of research into him. I watched a really interesting video on Coach's Voice. Coach's Voice. And I watched the one about Liam Manning, and again, he's sort of been part of the Man City structure. I don't exactly know what it's called, but it's sort of the Man City structure where they go to America. I think it is New York. They sort of do a lot there, and sort of how he's developed and implemented his style. Now, of course, on Mk Dons as manager there. And some of the interesting styles I sort of looked at was keeping the opposition guessing while attempting to beat the block and break the opposition down. Essentially, really being quite creative, quite expansive, quite different with how they attack their opposition, being a little bit more, I guess, difficult to understand and break down from a defensive perspective. Really changing things up on a regular basis, causing defences and teams different problems week in, week out. They play a really extreme style of play, using possession effectively, building up from goal kicks, controlling the ball. And when I look at Man City, I'm not comparing MK Dons to Man City quite similarly in that sense, but you can see definite similarities in the way that they try and play, of course, in perspective of their level being League One and the players in League One. But you can see the style of play, playing from the back, very, very modern, very, very extreme, very, very quick, very entertaining. It's a brilliant style of play. And they're being aggressive in their own block as well when they press. A controlled press, a structured press, but a really heavy, strong, aggressive press as well. Very, very understanding of where each other are on the pitch and making sure they block out, ultimately, the defence from playing out of the press. They're basically stopping other teams from what MK Dons are trying to do, which is play out from the back, trying to make sure they press, cause and sort of provide themselves their own luck, really, when defenders and opposition make mistakes when they hard and heavy press. I think it's a fascinating style of play. It's worked brilliantly well for MK Dons and Liam Manning this season and in the previous seasons as well. I think, and I know he hasn't been MK Dons in previous seasons, but other teams he's managed as well. Being adaptable and unpredictable in both attacking and defensive scenarios. I think that's, again, linking to the first point about being really, really extreme and also keeping the opposition guessing. Really always adapting, changing, being expansive with how they defend and attack, really, their opposition, but being effective in possession, out of possession, going forward, and defensively as well. I think it's brilliant stuff. I think Liam Manning doing a brilliant job, and they're doing so well in this style of play in what they're trying to do. Looking at the stats going forward as well, they're 6th on the XG table. Of course, that's for goals, 39.2. Third most goals in the league, 48 goals. The most 10-plus pass sequences in the league as well. That's 396 times they've basically completed 10-plus passes in a sequence of play. Looking back to Manning's style of a very, very possession-based play style of play. They've been very, very, very influenced on the way they pass the ball and in possession. Again, that backs to that point brilliantly as well. They've got the most build-up attacks in the league as well. That's at 94. They have 14 more than Ipswich, who are in second. Top of the league for build-up attacks, and 14 more than second place, being Ipswich. They have the slowest direct speed of attack as well. So again, that suggests they don't like playing the direct ball. Very short, sharp, non-direct passes, straight to feet, and also quick moving, pass and move style of play. It sounds basic, but that's exactly what they want to try and do. Try and keep it very, very non-direct. And they have the slowest direct speed as well. So we're not talking about getting the ball in the defensive midfield spot or the centre-back spot and lumping it forward to their striker. That's not what they do. That's not what Liam Manning's about. It's about trying to go from the attack, transitioning through defence to midfield. It's about transitions and effective transitions. And that's why Liam Manning's doing such a good job at MK Dons this season. At the back as well, the 5th best defence when it comes to XG against, and have considered the 4th least amount of goals in the league as well. I think it can be argued so many times when a side plays like this and plays as aggressive and has this style of play, they're just automatically exposed at the back. For MK Dons, that is not the case this season. That's exactly why they're 3rd in the league. I think when we talk about a side being aggressive, being attacking, or being extreme, we sort of automatically, I guess, having our brains, that means they're going to be defensively weak, they're going to be easily exposed. But for MK Dons, that's just not the case. They're so well drilled both defensively and defensively. That's why they're 3rd in the league. That's where they are in League One this season. That's exactly why they are sat in that position, because they're so well drilled both offensively and defensively. And looking at the stats as well, that certainly does back up those points. They're sort of linking back to the original point. And by the way, I want to quickly mention Scott Twine. An average rating of 7.53 this season on SofaScore. 24 goal contributions. 24 goal contributions. That's an absolute madness. In 37 games, 14 big chances created. He's been absolutely brilliant this season, Scott Twine. Ex-Swindon player. Sorry, it's a bit of a strain. But still, no doubt, a brilliant player. MK Dons now, so I'm not that bothered. A brilliant player. And some of this season has been absolutely instrumental. Similar to Conor Grant for Plymouth in their successes this year. Now, automatically, I've got to sort of link it back to my original point about who's overachieved more. In the end, I'm going to play the easy card. I'm going to sit on the fence. I'm not going to answer the opinion, really. I've really done you a little bit dirty there. I am sorry. But ultimately, I don't think it deserves me to sort of go and make a judgment both teams have been brilliant, and all it matters is that both sides have been absolutely fantastic at what they've done. So unique, but such a good season, and both teams have overachieved so well this year. So I think it's so difficult to really make a judgment on it. I almost don't want to, ultimately. I think I'd maybe sway towards Plymouth if I'm being really harsh, and I'm looking at the start of the season, I'm looking at the betting odds, I'm looking at the bookies and where they predicted these teams to be at the start of the season and where they are now. Of course, Plymouth probably being predicted around mid-table, just below that, and now 4th in the league. But then with MK Dons, they probably weren't predicted to be in the top 6, but they've been absolutely quality this season. And we've already gone into detail about both of these sides' successes. So it's so harsh. It's almost not fair. So I'm not going to really make a decision on it. I think it's just important that we delve deep into these teams because they deserve to. You know, we spend a lot of time talking about, and quite rightly so, but we spend a lot of time talking about Sunderland. We spend a lot of time talking about Wigan, Rotherham, etc. But let's talk about these sides like Plymouth and like MK Dons that have been absolutely phenomenal this year, and they deserve the credit. They deserve the time for me to sit down, discuss, break them down, analyse them. They've been phenomenal. So I'm not going to make a judgment on it, but what I can say is both teams have been brilliant, and they both have exceeded expectations absolutely massively, and so rightly so. They've been quality. And finally, we have a look at this title race / promotion race / Wigan and Rotherham, really. We sort of touched on MK Dons and Plymouth, both of those sides in the playoffs, and are going to be open to finish the playoffs come the end of the season. MK Dons maybe knocking on the door a little bit further up to try and sneak into those automatic promotion places. We'll have to wait and see. But I want to look at Wigan this year because the quote is, and the hot topic controversial, this is probably the most controversial opinion. This was exactly what the Instagram account League One Latest had on there, and it was Wigan will bottle promotion. Wigan will not go up this year. And I first of all went, do I go into that one? Do I talk about it? Because I think it's very subjective. I think it's very much opinion based. But I thought, let's have a look at them. Let's have a look at Wigan this season. Let's have a look at the teams around them. Let's have a look at why they've been so successful. So ultimately, they're second in the league as of recording. They've got 2 games in hand on MK Dons. They're looking very good for those automatic promotion places. Now, that's something to say. MK Dons can't go and snatch that spot. I just feel Wigan have got that. And there's also no doubt at all. They're 5 points off Rotherham. They were recording, but I can tell you now that's not the case. They're now 1 point off Rotherham with 2 games in hand. So it's amazing when I did that research before this weekend with Rotherham losing and Wigan winning and with one of their games in hand being played, how things can change. They're now 1 point off Rotherham and 2 games in hand. There's no reason at all why the title is beyond reach. And again, I did an episode yesterday looking at the roundup and sort of reacting to the action in this weekend's League One games, and I highlighted 4 games, and of course I highlighted the Rotherham Shrewsbury game, and I sort of titled the episode quite interestingly and also quite controversial, you could say. I said Rotherham will bottle the title, and I did put a question mark there. That is important, but I think it's important. I think it's also important that we look at it from a Wigan perspective as well. I mean, and again, I can understand Rotherham fans getting frustrated. I 100% get it. And by the way, I don't think losing 3-0, I'm not that reactionary. I don't think losing 3-0 is the reason why you won't get relegated. Why you won't relegate. I don't think you've got to worry about that. Or you won't win the league. I don't think it's that at all. I think it's about momentum. And football's all about momentum. Wigan have got that momentum. Have Rotherham slightly dipped off that? I'm not entirely sure. But I think it is a really interesting title race. And a title race, I think, started off being 100% Rotherham's title to get. I think it's much closer now. And arguably, maybe even Wigan's title now. Now, not mind-blowing stats going forward, that is Wigan, looking at the statistics. 8 most goals in the league for Wigan. That's out of 24, of course, teams in the league. 8th most goals in the league. 12th on the XG table. So again, they're not expected many goals, and 60 goals in 35 games. That's a fairly good stat. 1.7 goals per game. So averaging at least over 1.5 goals a game, which is a brilliant stat to have. But again, look at the XG table for goals scored or expected goals scored. 12th in the league, exactly mid-table. They're not expected to score that many goals. But defensively, they're a different beast. And this is why they're second in the league. Because defensively, they've been absolutely outstanding. Second best defence in the league, looking at actual goals conceded. Top of the table for least expected goals conceded or against. 33 goals conceded in 35 games, averaging a very impressive 0.9 goals conceded per game. That's the best of any team in the season and in this league. Worst comes to worst. I think, and sometimes you've got to look at worst comes to worst. They fall out of the top 2. MK Dons take their spot. I just can't see it happen. I can't see it happen. I like I said, I've been very, very positive at MK Dons in this episode, sort of looking at their season. And I think they've been. I think they will finish in the top 6. By the way, I've definitely said that. But I think Wigan have got it. I might sit here now and say I think Wigan really might win the league. I really, really do. There's something about them, the momentum they find themselves on, with the games in hand they've got. I know Rotherham have been brilliant this season. I'm not taking away anything from Rotherham. They've been phenomenal. It's going to be so close. It's going to be so tight. It's about those games in hand. Ultimately, it is. It's about those games in hand, because I keep coming back to the point. I say it all across the season. Games in hand do not equal points. It's whether or not Wigan can basically put that to bed, really. Can they turn those games in hands into points? If they do, I think there could be a possible title coming to Wigan, but I think it's all about doing that. And like I said, worst comes to worst, they finish at the top 2. They finish in the playoff places, and they have to go through the playoffs. If they do finish those playoff places, I think they're going to be one of the strongest teams, if not the strongest team, in those playoffs. So I hope that doesn't happen, because I can't see Oxford finishing in the top 2, and I can see Wigan being, if they do finish the top 6, definitely one of the most amazing sides in the playoffs. And they've been brilliant this year, of course. So I think it's interesting. So Wigan, will they bottle promotion? I don't think they will. I think they're going to finish the top 2. I really do. I think there could be a potential title coming Wigan's way if they play these games in hand correctly and they win these games in hand. But like I said, Rotherham versus Wigan battle, I think it's going to be so interesting. Some key players this season: Callum Lang, 18 goal contributions this season as well. James McLean, a SofaScore average rating of 7.25. Max Power, an average rating of 7.25 as well. So amazing set of players there. Some key players. But defensively, they've been a different beast this season. Been so impressive. Been so impressed by Wigan across the year. Will they bottle promotion? I don't think they will. I think they will go on and get those top 2 places and maybe even win the league. We'll have to wait and see. Let me know in the comments down below. I want to hear from all of your thoughts based on these opinions and talking points. Am I right? Am I wrong? Let me know in the comments down below. I want to hear from you, as well as some more ones as well, because if I want to maybe do some more, let's do some more. If you've got some options, if you've got some talking points I think are worthy of me sitting down and talking about them, let me know in the comments down below. I'll be replying and responding to all of your thoughts as per usual. Like I said, thank you so much. I'll reiterate it again. Just hit 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for that. Also hit that like button as well. I really do love everything. Love every single one of you, and you've been brilliant, and the support you've showed has been phenomenal. So I really do thank you for that. The voice is going. That voice is still there from that Ipswich last minute goal we scored as Oxford United. It's still there and it's still croaky, but I really do appreciate it. Until next time, take care, stay safe. I'll see you very soon. See you in a bit.